Hello, welcome back to REV RIDES, and this is the Summer Solstice episode 3, so thank you if you've been watching. And here on the west coast of the United States, specifically California, the Summer Solstice was on June 20th of 2021. Now, I've had some questions. One subscriber in particular by the name of Raj has asked me about the bike I was riding and the gear I was using and those kinds of things, shoes and gearing. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about it. So this particular bike, it's a Ritchey Road Logic. It's a steel bike, and I prefer steel bikes on long endurance type of rides, self-supported, non-racing. You can see I've got a frame pump on there. I dispensed with the CO2 cartridges and the nozzle and all that. I figured, I'm on a long day. It's not important to air up a tire very quickly. So I took a frame pump, not a mini pump, but a frame pump. Also, you can see the bottles there. Those are 38-ounce bottles. So a liter being 33 point something. This fills up all the way to the brim with 38 ounces of fluids. So that's 76 ounces right there with those two bottles, and that's quite a bit of fluids. Also, you will see a headlight and a tail light. In many instances, I will run exposure lights. They are a specialty company out of England. They make outstanding headlights and tail lights. And these particular two lights, they have programmable modes, so you can dictate how long you want, how long exactly you want your headlight and tail light to last in each one of the settings. So if you want it to last for 12 hours in a medium setting, you just program it that way, and it's worry free. Turn it on, and it's designed to burn at that rate for you exactly. The next thing I want to call your attention to is the carbon wheels on this bike. As a shop owner, people expect me to ride nice things. They want me, I believe, to, or at least that is the perception I have of what people expect of me, is to ride equipment that maybe they aspire to own, or maybe test equipment that they might be interested in. So there are carbon wheels on this bike, but generally I do not like to ride carbon wheels. And let me explain why. Number one, they're fragile. I know that sounds strange, but they are. They break. They can overheat and delaminate. If you break a spoke, they go way out of true, especially on a long endurance event. What are you going to do when you're way out there and you break a spoke? They need proprietary brake pads. So there's just so many things. But, here it is. I have them on this bike. I have them in this image. And more than anything else, it's for the aesthetics of it. Also, to be brutally honest, the wheels I really want to have on this bike are on back order until November. And at the filming of this is June. That means I'm still waiting at least 5 months for those wheels. If you've been watching my channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of head cycling wheels. And I've got those wheels on back order. It's been at least 3 months already. March or April is when I put them on back order. And during the lockdown, during this pandemic, I've had to sell just about all my aluminum wheels to customers because I needed to stay in business and make a profit. So I sold my own personal wheels and put another set of wheels on back order. I wanted to fill the needs of my customers. And so there you see a bike with carbon wheels when typically I would rather be riding a set of aluminum wheels. And then the last thing I want to call your attention to is someone asked me about my gearing. I think it was Raj as well. And typically I ride a 5339 standard crankset for every application. Every now and then I've done an Everest where it's 15% grade or 14% grades, and I've put on a compact. And I ride an 1132 cassette. So 1132 means that my 32 cog is the largest cog for climbing, and then on the crankset of 5339 means the 39 inner chainring, and 32 is my climbing set. And probably the most controversial topic of the day is rim brake versus disc brake. Not a fan of disc brakes. I personally own one disc brake bike and I rarely ride it. That is a video in and of itself. But this particular bike is rim brake. I prefer rim brake. I prefer the modulation. I prefer something I'm very familiar with. I prefer something that's very easy to fix with just a brake cable. You can find that in any bike shop anywhere and put a new brake cable on. Brake cables are very robust. They rarely snap. Derailleur cables are most commonly the item that might snap. But it's just a much simpler system. If your brake is rubbing, you just cant the brake in the other direction. Done. Anyway, that's all for the bike spec. If there's any more stuff you need, just let me know. All right, so we're getting ready to roll out, and here's my attempt at trying to be artsy-fartsy with my bike, pushing the ride button and getting going on what I thought was going to be an epic day in the saddle. Lots of things changed throughout the day, but got out there. Now the goal was to leave at 5:45, so I'm about 7 minutes late. Not too bad, considering I didn't have to meet anyone else and make anyone else late. The first part of the ride, there's a section called West Lilac, and very overcast, and actually it was almost, there was a lot of moisture in the air. It started to accumulate on my sunglasses, so I had to actually take my sunglasses off because not only did they fog up, but they actually had moisture all over them. But then within just a few miles, continuing to go inland, which for us on the West Coast means east, all of a sudden the sun broke through. There was no clouds, and it just, the weather went up probably 20 degrees in a matter of just a few miles. This is Rincon. I'm dropping down into the valley that then will climb up to Palomar Mountain. This is just a nice range of mountains that you can climb up through. And that's the goal there, Palomar Mountain, 16 miles. Julian is another place that we will ride to on other occasions. And actually that was plan A, was to leave from my house, ride to Julian and back. It was about 17,000 feet of climbing and didn't pan out. As a matter of fact, started with plan A, plan B, plan C, and eventually plan D was what I ended up doing. Here's another look at the mountain range that I will be climbing up through. And then I tried to get behind me where you could see that the coastal areas were still kind of socked in, but hard to see. But looking up here, this squiggly line, I love squiggly line signs. And here I've pulled over at the 4,000 foot sign, just basically suffering like a dog. But there's a REV cycling sticker still on there from many years ago. And then here's the top of South Grade, the top of the 11.7 mile segment, or the climb that most people have always done. I'm at the top of Palo Mountain, and it's elevation 5665, as you can see there. And this is a climb that starts below 1,000 foot, starts at about 800 foot elevation, and then I take a couple of extra climbs to get to where I'm at now, so I can almost get 15 miles out of this and almost a 5,000 foot vertical climb. So it's actually a really, really good climb. And it's really hot, and I was wanting to do some epic stuff today, but it's probably not going to happen. I'm 49.7 miles in, 7,700 feet of climbing. This is my first stop of the day, so basically almost 5 hours before I stopped. And I've got some 38 ounce bottles here which I think saved my bacon today because, man, it is hot. And I took some video earlier at 105. I'm at 56.5 elevation. It's showing 110. So yeah, so much for anything epic today. It's just too dang hot. So that's where I started, Oceanside. So that's pretty accurate, 47 miles. I'm 51 miles in with a little detour, and 109 degrees. It's just way too hot. And I was going to do something epic for the summer solstice, but there's just no way. So this is the top of Palomar Mountain. The other video I took was from 5665, and that's like a, it's like a, I don't know, secluded elevation sign, because a lot of people always ask me, where'd you find that sign? But this is the top of South Grade Road, 11.7 mile climb and 4,200 feet. And back in 2015, this was my very first Everest. And so when I would come up here, I would put a Rev Cycling sticker here for each one of my repeats. And so it was 7 repeats on this climb of 11.7 miles, 7 repeats of 4,200 feet. So that's 29,000 feet of elevation. And I would put a sticker here. And if you wouldn't believe how motivating it was to climb back up here and put another sticker up here, having finished an 11.7 mile climb at about 7%. So what I'm trying to show you now is you could see that over the years, I guess the sun baked it on there, and they had to get a grinder to get the decals off. And you know, my intention was not to deface state property or government property. I just wanted to, you know, motivate myself. Some people put a rock at the top, some people put marbles and switch them from one pocket to another when they're Everesting. But I just had a Rev Cycling sticker, and then everyone that rode up here with me, I always showed them the stickers up on the pole there. So we're at over 5,000 foot elevation. I'm trying to see if I can get a break in between these trees, and yeah, see if you can see down there. I'll try to do a little zooming in. There's a road down there, and then there's a lot of valley down below. But yeah, this is a favorite of motorcyclists as well, because it's very, very curvy. And you'll see here it says caution, sharp curves for the next 7 miles. And of course, to me, that puts a big Cheshire cat grin on my face. So this is 7 miles, then it's kind of like a false flat, and then another 5 miles of descending after that. I had to search high and low, but I found one of the pictures I took of the 7 Rev Cycling stickers. There it is. Just for fun, I took a picture of this mileage sign. Rincon, where the Harris Casino is, they call Funner. And this is their mileage sign. Once I left Palomar Mountain area in the valley down there, I took some detours on the way home, and it was a lot cooler. I've never been so happy to feel a headwind, a wind coming from the ocean, an onshore flow, as they call it here, because it actually felt much cooler. And thank goodness for that, because I was just suffering earlier in the day. Well, that's all. That's a wrap. About 115 miles and 12,000 feet of climbing. I ended up saving the day based on all the issues I had Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.